Some civil society organizations have called for the identity of political party funders to be disclosed. They were among stakeholders who made submissions at the public hearings held by the Electoral Commission in Cape Town.
The IEC is hearing oral submissions from the public on the regulations that should be implemented around the Political Party Funding Act.
A much anticipated legislation that must now be accompanied by regulations. In the main, the legislation will regulate and create transparent political party funding. The legislation also provides for a multi-party democracy fund, as certain foreign donations are banned. But now the question is, should the donors to the fund remain anonymous?
So the issue of anonymity, we believe, is an important one. And therefore we would submit that the only determination which the Commission should be required to make is whether a contribution to that fund arises from a legal source or not. If the contribution is from a permitted source, then the reasons for the contributors' wish to remain anonymous should be of little interest. Of course, the donor must disclose their identity to the Commission so that you can conduct the necessary checks to ensure that it comes from a lawful source. And we therefore believe that there should be no requirement for the donor to provide reasons for the request for anonymity or even an assessment of the political exposure.
Although these would be done confidentially and internally, the IEC could still exercise transparency in terms of relaying, 1, the number of disclosure requests it received, 2, the number of non-disclosure requests that are accepted and rejected, 3, the annual cumulative monetary value of all the non-disclosure requests which were successfully approved, and 4, reasons donors have indicated that their identity and or amount should not be disclosed.
The legislation also wants a maximum threshold of 15 million rand and a minimum threshold of 100,000 rand for donations that must be declared publicly. Some civil organizations want the IEC to find a mechanism that will prevent donors from breaking down donations in order not to meet the minimum threshold.
But we are concerned about the minimum amount from which political parties should have to disclose where the funds have come from. 100,000 rand is a very large amount of money. And for many smaller political parties, they may never receive donations that large. We call on the IEC to lower the minimum threshold amount to 50,000 rand. This will ensure all political parties, no matter their size, will be regulated by this bill.
Investigative journalist unit Amapungane has also pointed out that donors must also declare their subsidiaries, shareholders, spouses and family members. They say this will prevent a third-party donor bypassing the system.
Law forces people to consider their behavior, and I think the third part is if there's a requirement, then the media, members of the public, civil society organizations can try and pick up these potential risks. And there'll also be potentially whistleblowers who, if they know that there's some kind of obligation in law for this to be done, then they might be more willing to then speak up if they know that something has been done which is incorrect.
Amapungane also wants a regulation that forces social media influencers to disclose if they are paid by a political party to spread a particular message. The hearings continue. Bulelani Phillip, SABC News, Cape Town.